It's lights out. We're racing in MotoGP here in Australia. It's a superb start from second place on the grid by sprint winner Marco Bezzecchi. Quartararo, like yesterday, is going the wrong way. Acosta is using that lightning speed of the KTM on the run down into the Doohan corner. Acosta immediately up into third place. Miller runs a little bit wide going on the brakes into the Doohan corner. That's allowed Quartararo back through into fourth place, but it's Bez that leads it, and Aprilia 1-2 once again.
Another poor start, as you said, for Quartararo, but he has at least limited the damage somewhat, and this is perfect for Marco Bezzecchi. That's exactly what he would have wanted to achieve on this first lap. Get out front, pull an advantage out, so the long laps aren't going to cost you as much.
Yeah, and Fernandez now, as Acosta toughs it out on the brakes into the Miller corner against Quartararo. That looks like Luca Marine's getting a little bit hung out to drive on the 10 factory Honda going through the Miller corner. I think Alex Marquez had the inside line. Paul Espargaro, Mario Vinales' injury replacements, had another good getaway. Espargaro through sector 1 in 8th.
Fabio Di Giannantonio is up one into 9th. He's a rider who expects to be motoring towards the front of this race. So it's the factory Aprilia from the Trackhouse Aprilia, but Pedro Acosta right behind Raul Fernandez there, I guess, effectively battling for the lead of the race once Bezzecchi jumps out of the way.
Great start, a superb start, wasn't it, from Bezzecchi. He absolutely nailed it away from the lights to put himself in prime position now to lead the Grand Prix into the first of his 2 long laps.
Bezzecchi not exactly putting the same kind of distance we expected into the rest of the field. A 28.0 matched by Acosta.
Acosta, brilliant. He's got the inside line there, using every single pony underneath him there. He's got a big twitch on the front and the rear. Both wheels sliding almost as he went through the Doohan corner. That's what happens when you're on top of the fastest motorcycle in history. Got the great drive coming out of turn 12, and then he just started clicking through 4th, 5th and 6th gear. It was easy as you like to take second from Fernandez.
Surely this is exactly where Pedro Acosta would have dreamed of being at this stage of the race, because the rider ahead of him is going to take a long lap, well, 2 long laps, and jump out of his way. So Pedro Acosta will surely soon inherit the lead of the Grand Prix, and we know how hard he is to pass.
Looking at our commentary box window, we're going to pick up Bezzecchi very, very shortly through the Stoner corner. His advantage over Acosta is nigh on 1.3 seconds. Here then comes Bezzecchi. Acosta versus Fernandez behind him. This, well, no, he's not come in.
Well, he's got 5 laps to play with. He's now gone through 3 times, so we now know he's made his strategy clear to the rest of the field. He's surely going to be coming through on the next 2 consecutive laps.
He was the only rider in the 27s on that previous lap was Bez. He's back in the 28s. Yeah, and Raul Fernandez was faster. Raul Fernandez getting on with this, cracking the whip, isn't he, on that Trackhouse Aprilia? 1:28 flat, PB lap from Fernandez. Not a great lap for that from Acosta, who was a lot slower than Fernandez ahead of him, and slower than Quartararo, Miller and Alex Marquez behind him.
Turn 1 in the gravel trap. Someone went so, and Zarco straight to the gravel trap. That would be a fast old crash at Doohan corner. So coming through Stoner corner now, a bit of a head shake there for Bez, just to show how hard he's pushing. Surely now he's going to go straight on into the long lap penalty loop. Here he comes. Raul Fernandez then takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Acosta will also go through into second place. Where is he relative to Quartararo? He's just ahead of him.
Bezzecchi then slots back in ahead of Fabio Quartararo. Now they go through to Siberia, turn 6. So minimising the damage is Bezzecchi after his great start leading on that first lap. This is going to be a big old get off for Zarco. He's well wide. So wide. He stays committed, doesn't he, there? And that front, just look at the big dark line he leaves from that Michelin rear tyre. Ooh, that's a scary one for Zarco. Let go of it, Johan, let go of it. He finally does, spikes the dust. So if there is going to be some flag-to-flag drama, Johan Zarco's not going to be involved in it. That's a nasty old get-off. So then here we go. Oh, Jack Miller's gone down. Jack Miller has crashed out of podium contention here in his home Grand Prix, having raised the roof to get himself on the front row here yesterday and fight for the podium in the sprint. Oh, Miller, that went in a flash. That was almost like a rain crash, wasn't it? Miller, that front end washed out from under Miller before he could do anything about it. Oh, Bezzecchi, big head shake on the front there as he attacked into the Doohan corner.
He still did a 1:29.9, even with the long lap. They could see he lost 1.7 seconds to Raul Fernandez. That's why he's been practicing that all weekend. He certainly did a fast long lap penalty, so if he loses another 2 3/4 to 2 seconds, he's going to drop back somewhere near Di Giannantonio and Paul Espargaro.
And Miller's exit's doing a big favour here for Bezzecchi, because there's one rider in this lead group that's taken out of the equation as far as Bez is concerned. He would have had to have fought his way back through surely after the second long lap on Quartararo, Alex Marquez and Miller. Miller, though, down on that last lap going into Siberia.
Yeah,
Paulo Bonora and And Massimo Riva are looking on from the Aprilia pit wall, just making sure that they know exactly when it'll be the optimal time for him to come in for the second long lap.
Like Bonora was saying, once more and then he'll come in, so we'll see maybe through there on the next lap, but he's not going to be in the lead of the Grand Prix when he takes his second long lap, that is for sure. So Raul Fernandez leads from Pedro Acosta. Neither have won a MotoGP Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo will shortly soon take third place. Of course, he hasn't won for 3.5 years. Will Bez come straight on this time? He's over to the right-hand side of your picture. Here he comes into the long lap penalty loop. So through goes Quartararo, through goes Alex Marquez, through goes Di Gianantonio, and Bezzecchi then rejoins behind Digia in 6th place.
And now that is a big problem. Now he has got a big task on his hands, because his immediate competition ahead of him are 2 Ducatis, which are going to be pretty tough to beat, certainly down that long garden, the straight, 900 metres in length. Not very often you're going to see an Aprilia out-drag a Ducati down that start-finish straight. So Bezzecchi, he's got so much time on his side. There's still, what, 20 laps remaining here in Phillip Island, as he slots them now back into 6th place. Oh, that's easy as you like, isn't it, for Alex Marquez, blitzing by Quattararo's factory Yamaha. He's almost stripping the paintwork off the side of that M1. No competition in terms of top speed there between Alex and Quartararo. More bother brewing here as well for Quartararo, as it's another Fabio that hones in onto his rear tyre. There you can just see coming through the shot out of the Southern Loop is the 72 bike of Bezzecchi. 6th place, he did a 1:29.9 on that last lap, which was exactly 2 seconds slower than Digia, who's now ahead of him on the road.
Well, Raul Fernandez is sniffing the opportunity here, of course. Now Bezzecchi out of the way, 2 penalties served, stuck in traffic. Cash in, make hay while the sun is not exactly shining here in Phillip Island. Raul Fernandez's lead is already in excess of a second over Acosta.
Crikey, when was the last time we had successive victories from or first-time winners in MotoGP back-to-back as Di Gianantonio? What a move that is.
He's a threat.
You need some confidence to put a move on Quartararo going through turn 8. Confidence which Digia had in abundance. And now Di Gianantonio from 10th on the grid drops down into turn 10. Digia upwardly mobile in this Australian Grand Prix, now in P4. Somebody's crashed out. We've got somebody crashing out here.
I So Alex Marquez is 2.4 seconds off the lead. Now, we mentioned before the start, there's Mir clearly okay after his crash, somewhere in the 4th sector. Is it dropping down into turn 10? I think the answer is about to be yes. Front end washes away for Mir. So Alex Marquez to finish second in the championship and to secure that today, he needs to outscore Bagnaia by 20 points and Bez by 12. If he can somehow get up to the lead of the race, he would achieve that.
Aldeguer just tries to squeeze through at the Southern Loop on Pol Espargaro, who's riding out of his skin once again, isn't he? The KTM replacement rider. So Marini now up into 6th place. Quartararo from pole to 7th on Sunday, just as he did on the Saturday sprint. He's going the wrong way once again, it's Quartararo.
The battle between Aldeguer and Espargaro continues. Firmin trying to go around the outside. Very different ends of the experience spectrum, aren't they? Espargaro and Aldeguer. But Acosta's now upping his pace. He's now in the 1:27s on the last lap as he cut Raul Fernandez's lead to a 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, you just wonder, that's Acosta in those first 9-10 laps of the race, just being a little bit conservative, not throwing too much caution to the wind, getting back in those 27s. He might have just been thinking, well, Raul Fernandez, if he carries on bolting at that pace, there's no way, not a chance that that rear tyre is going to hold out underneath him. Well, we'll find out, won't we, in the second half of this Grand Prix. But encouraging as far as Acosta is concerned. On the previous lap, the only rider in those 27s.
Let's see what the lap times are as they come round this time then. Fernandez, the lead through the 3rd sector, was just under a 1.5 seconds. Alex Marquez rebounding this time and closing in. Acosta again in the 27s, as was Alex Marquez. Raul Fernandez, though, still holding 28 flats and just keeping them at arm's length. Quartararo's unable to do anything about the riders, just queuing up behind him. Pol Espargaro now goes through, and Aldeguer surely is going to follow through momentarily.
Sitting duck right now, unfortunately, is Fabio Quartararo. This has not gone to plan A at all, has it, as far as the factory Yamaha star is concerned. clinging on at the moment. Quartararo, having started from pole position, he's going to have it all on to keep himself inside the top 10, because as you can see just behind him, Quartararo relegated to 9th. Well, not too far behind him are Binder on the 33 KTM, Alex Rins and Enea Bastianini also coming into contention. The Beast. God, he's a real conundrum, isn't he?
Yeah.
What an enigma Enea is. A 1:28.015 on that last lap, his fastest lap of the Grand Prix, having worked his way through from 20th up to 12th. Now Fernandez, he's built that lead to over 2 seconds for the first time in this Grand Prix. We're looking at Raul Fernandez and wondering if there's going to be a collapse late on, like came the way of Jorge Martin a couple of years ago. That was when Martin took a real left field gamble, putting the soft Michelin rear tyre on his Pramac Ducati at the time. We know that Fernandez, it's a level playing field really in terms of the tyre choice at the front of this Grand Prix, as Alex Marquez goes side by side against Pedro Acosta. This is going to be a game of there on the brakes into the Doohan corner. Acosta just leaving it that fraction later. To be fair, he did have the inside line there, so there was very little, having put himself on the outside of Acosta, Alex could do in terms of making a move on the inside going into the Doohan corner. Yeah, Grazzini racing, look on. Calma, tranquilo, Alex.
Well, this is all just playing even further into the hands of Raul Fernandez, isn't it? And for Fabio Di Giannantonio too, behind us in 4th place. Acosta wide through Stoner corner. He's on the inside line. He's going to have to really lunge at Alex Marquez from there, but Alex is able to sweep across the front tyre of Acosta, and he's now clear into 2nd place and launches a tear off in the face of Acosta in the process.
Di Giannantonio might be 1 corner away from the podium here in Phillip Island. He certainly is on the inside of Acosta. He goes down the hill into the 1st gear, turn 10. Acosta then's resistance has been futile. He's been pushed off the podium now, back into P4.
Can Di Giannantonio get the final corner right though? Because unusually, Phillip Island said it yesterday, the Ducatis were actually being beaten down the straights by KTMs and Hondas. So is Pedro Acosta now just going to whistle straight back past Digia on the run into turn 1? Look at the 37, just pulling up alongside him. 3 lap time for Pedro Acosta, and he takes 3rd place back again.
Is he going to get that stopped? If he does, that is some effort. That is some effort by Acosta. Fair play. Yeah, he just running that little bit hot going into the Doohan corner. That just put him on that slightly wrong line for that run down to the Southern Loop, and that's allowed Di Giannantonio to come back through, keeping a watching brief. In 5th place still is Marco Bezzecchi. How much longer can Acosta resist this onslaught coming from Bezzecchi? Alex Marquez, 2.9 seconds. It's never really got down under 2.8 seconds, the gap between Fernandez and Alex, as Bezzecchi goes on the inside of Acosta through turn 8. That was a real class move, that, by Bez. So that might be as good as it gets as far as the sprint winner is concerned here. He does finally pick up Acosta to take P4. Digia's taking 2nd. I was going to say he's taking 2nd on this lap. He takes it immediately. He made that brilliant move there, didn't he, early on in this Grand Prix, through on Fabio Quartararo. Digia loves that attack going through turn 8, doesn't he? That's an absolute class manoeuvre, that by Di Giannantonio. Is it all a little bit too late, though, as far as the victory hopes are concerned? We'll check the gap between Fernandez and Di Giannantonio when they cross the line. There'll be, what, 4 laps remaining very, very shortly. But having cleared now Alex, whoa, twitch there for Alex. You can see that he's running into some late grip problems, isn't he, on that Ducati GP24. What can Digia do about a 3.1 second deficit to Raul Fernandez?
Someone's down at Siberia, off into the distance. I think it might be Pecco Bagnaia with 4 laps to go. He was salvaging some pride from this Grand Prix, but he crashes with 4 laps to go.
Bezzecchi, he's coming down the hill into turn 10. There's nothing that Alex can do about that. Marco Bezzecchi then does indeed dive to the inside of Alex Marquez to take the final place on the podium. This has been some salvage mission by Bez. After Fermin Aldeguer took his first MotoGP success last time out in Manalica, we have another first-time winner in MotoGP, and it is the phenomenal Raul Fernandez in Phillip Island who wins the Australian Grand Prix for Trackhouse Aprilia. What a moment for Fernandez, what a moment for the American team as they take their first ever MotoGP victory. Di Giannantonio fights his way through from 10th up into 2nd place. Marco Bezzecchi with a late rally after his 2 long laps does indeed rescue a podium in 3rd. Alex Marquez is 4th, Acosta 5th over the line, Marini back inside the top 6. Top 10 for Rins, Binder, Bastianini and Pol Espargaro. Points for Quattro, Oliveira, Agura, Aldeguer and Morbidelli. But Raul Fernandez in back-to-back races then in 2025, we have first-time winners. Brilliant for the Aprilia rider. What a weekend it has been for the Nawali factory. Raul Fernandez, Marco Bezzecchi, your top 2 on Friday, top 2 in the sprint on Saturday, and now 1st and 3rd here in that Grand Prix.
Here we have the results then of the Australian Grand Prix. Raul Fernandez with his first ever win, followed on the podium by Fabio Di Giannantonio and Marco Bezzecchi. Alex Marquez finished P4, Pedro Acosta P5 and Luca Marini in P6. Alex Rins finished 7th, Binder 8th, Enea Bastianini 9th and Pol Espargaro in 10th.